The empty chair at table 7 wasn't a mistake. It was an introduction to the pitiful girl sitting there. Cassidy Wells sat alone while 200 guests pretended not to notice, while her sister Brooke glided past in a magnificent wedding gown, while Owen, the fraud she'd once planned to marry, raised his champagne glass to toast, "Finding true love when you least expect it." The jade bracelet circling her wrist felt like the only proof she'd ever belonged anywhere. Then a stranger in a charcoal suit claimed the seat beside her. His shoulder brushed hers. His voice dropped low. "Act like you're with me." She should have asked why, should have pulled away. Instead, something shifted. For the first time in months, someone actually saw her, but when he leaned closer and whispered, "I heard what they said about you in the hallway," her blood turned to ice. Cassidy had always known what it meant to be invisible. Her mother died when she was 12, and her father, Gerald, remarried quickly. Too quickly. Vivian brought a golden-haired daughter named Brooke, and suddenly Cassidy became the shadow in her own family's story. The jade bracelet was all she had left of her mother, passed down through 4 generations of strong women who'd survived their own crucibles. Owen had been different, or so she'd thought. They met 3 years ago, and for the first time since her mother died, Cassidy felt chosen. She wore his ring for 6 months, planned a life around his promises, built dreams on the foundation of his words. Then Brooke came home from Paris. Owen's attention shifted, and one evening, Cassidy walked into her father's study and found them. Owen's hand on Brooke's lower back, her sister's laugh tinkling like breaking glass. When confronted, they'd dismissed her pain. "You're always so dramatic," Brooke had said. Owen had sighed as if Cassidy's feelings were an inconvenience. "Maybe if you were more like Brooke, more fun, more spontaneous, we wouldn't be having this conversation." 2 weeks later, he proposed to Brooke at the same restaurant where he'd proposed to Cassidy. Now here she was, forced to witness their triumph. Gerald had insisted she attend. It would look bad for the family. So she'd come, wearing her mother's bracelet like armor, and found herself seated alone at table 7, tucked in the back corner near the kitchen doors. The other chairs remained deliberately empty. She'd watched the ceremony with practiced composure, that smile her mother had taught her, the one that said everything was fine even when your world was crumbling. When the reception started, guests circulated past her table as if she were invisible. Even Gerald walked by without acknowledgement, his attention on more important people. That's when she'd seen them slip into the hallway. Brooke and Owen, laughing conspiratorially. Cassidy followed, pressing herself against the wall where she could hear but not be seen. "Your sister looks pathetic out there," Owen's voice drifted out. "Like a kicked puppy." Brooke's laugh was cruel. "I know. Do you think she actually believed you loved her? God, she was so desperate. Made it too easy. The look on her face when she walked in on us," Owen said, audibly smiling. "Priceless. She should thank us." Brooke giggled. "We did her a favor. Could you imagine being married to someone that boring?" Their laughter drove into Cassidy's chest like knives. She turned to flee when a voice stopped her. A man's voice, quiet but firm. "That's enough." Cassidy looked up through blurred vision. A stranger stood nearby, tall and broad-shouldered in charcoal grey. His dark hair was touched with silver, and his blue eyes burned with barely contained fury, directed at the hallway. "Who the hell are you?" Owen's alarm echoed out. The stranger ignored him, focusing on Cassidy. "You okay?" His tone held a gentleness that didn't match the anger in his eyes. She nodded, not trusting her voice. He studied her, glanced toward the hallway where Owen and Brooke were whispering urgently, then made a decision. "Come with me," he said, offering his arm. "Please." Because she had nothing left to lose, Cassidy took it. He led her back to table 7 and slid into the empty chair beside her. That's when he delivered the line that changed everything. "Act like you're with me." Now, with his whispered confession hanging between them, Cassidy felt the full weight crash down. He'd heard everything. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "You didn't need to." "Finn," he interrupted gently. "My name is Finn Mercer, and yes, I absolutely should have." He shifted, blocking the room's stairs. "I was making a call when I heard them. I'm many things, but a man who stands by while people tear someone apart isn't one of them." "But why do you care? You don't even know me." Pain flickered across his face. "Let's just say I know what it's like to sit alone in a room full of people. I know what it's like to be invisible even when you're right there." A small voice interrupted. "Daddy, are you making a new friend?" A little girl stood there, maybe 5 years old, with dark curls and grass-stained dress. She held crumpled drawings, and her eyes, the same blue as Finn's, studied Cassidy with curiosity. "Ivy," Finn said, his demeanor softening. "I thought you were coloring." "I got bored." Ivy turned to Cassidy. "Are you the sad lady Daddy wanted to help?" Finn looked embarrassed, but Cassidy smiled despite everything. "I am pretty sad, but your daddy is being very kind. I'm Cassidy." Ivy shook her hand solemnly. "I'm Ivy Rose Mercer, and I'm 5 3/4. She thrust forward a purple and green dragon drawing. "That's my dragon. It's beautiful," Cassidy said honestly. Ivy's eyes caught on the jade bracelet. "Oh, that's so pretty. Can I touch it?" Cassidy extended her arm, watching Ivy trace the smooth surface. "It was my mother's, and her grandmother's before that." "Where's your mother now?" Ivy asked with childlike bluntness. "She died when I was a little older than you, but she gave me this bracelet to remember her by." Ivy looked at Finn. "Like how Mommy's still with us even though she's in heaven?" Finn's expression cracked, revealing raw grief. He recovered, pulling Ivy close. "Exactly like that, sweetheart." Cassidy understood then. The wedding ring tan line, the hollow ache. Finn was a widower navigating loss with a young daughter. Sharp heels clicked on marble. Brooke appeared, Owen trailing behind, both wearing fury disguised as concern. "Cass," Brooke cooed falsely. "We've been looking everywhere for you. And who's this handsome stranger?" Finn's hand settled on Cassidy's shoulder. "Finn Mercer. I'm a friend of Cassidy's." Owen's eyes narrowed. "Funny, Cassidy never mentioned you." "Funny." Finn replied evenly. "She never mentioned you either. And yet here you are, marrying her sister." Brooke's smile faltered. "How long have you two been friends?" Finn stood, protective without being possessive. He pulled out a business card. "Finn Mercer, CEO of Mercer Capital Group. Perhaps you've heard of us." Owen's face drained of color. Everyone knew Mercer Capital, one of the largest private equity firms on the East Coast. "Well, aren't you impressive?" Brooke recovered. "How did you meet our Cassidy?" "Your Cassidy?" Finn's eyebrow arched. "Interesting, considering she's sitting alone in the back corner. Is that how you treat family?" Owen stepped forward, puffing up. "I don't know what Cassidy told you. She didn't tell me anything. I have eyes and ears. I've been to enough events to recognize deliberate exclusion." He glanced at Cassidy, expression softening. "The people sitting alone are often the most interesting." Ivy tugged Finn's sleeve. "Daddy, are these the mean people you were talking about?" Silence fell. Brooke's face flushed. Owen's mouth opened and closed. "Ivy, remember our talk about inside thoughts?" Finn said, chagrined. Brooke's civility cracked. "How dare you come to my wedding and what?" Finn's voice remained calm, eyes glacier cold. "Treat your sister with basic decency. Or maybe you're upset because I overheard your conversation in the hallway, the one where you called Cassidy pathetic and desperate. Should I continue? Brooke went white. Owen grabbed her arm, whispering urgently. Gerald appeared, face flushed. What's going on? Brooke, sweetheart, what's wrong? Daddy. Brooke's tears came easily. This man is harassing us and ruining my wedding. Gerald turned to Finn. I'll have to ask you to leave. This is a private event. Finn Mercer. I was invited by your business partner, Andrew Chen. Finn paused. But I'm questioning Andrew's judgment in partnering with you, given how you treat your daughter. Gerald's eyes widened. Everyone knew Andrew Chen. Offending his guest could destroy business deals. There's been a misunderstanding, Gerald said quickly. Can what? Cassidy's voice surprised everyone, including herself. She stood, legs shaking but voice steady. Pretend you didn't seat me alone like an embarrassment? Pretend they didn't spend 6 months making my life hell while you did nothing? Cassidy. Vivian's tone was sharp. You're making a scene. No, Cassidy said, and something snapped. You made a scene when you seated me alone. You made a scene when you celebrated their engagement like I didn't exist. You made a scene every day you chose her happiness over mine. Her voice cracked, but she pushed forward. I came because you asked. But I'm done caring how things look. I'm done pretending. I'm done being invisible in my own family. The hall went silent. 200 guests watched Cassidy Wells finally break. She looked at Gerald, seeing him clearly. A weak man who'd chosen comfort over courage. Mum would be ashamed of you. Not because I'm making a scene. Because you let this happen. Gerald's face crumpled. Brooke tried to speak, but Cassidy turned to her. I hope you and Owen are very happy. Truly. Because you deserve exactly what you're getting. A man who'll betray you like he betrayed me. A marriage built on lies. That's your foundation. Good luck. She grabbed her purse, hands trembling. Finn's hand found her back. Ivy slipped her hand into Cassidy's. Cassidy, wait, Gerald called weakly. She didn't. She walked through the staring crowd, head high, jade bracelet catching light. They made it outside before her legs gave out. She sank onto a bench, body shaking. She'd just imploded her family in front of 200 witnesses. Finn crouched before her, hands gentle on her knees. Hey, breathe. I can't believe I... Words failed. Tears came instead. Finn pulled her forward, holding her while she cried into his shoulder. Ivy patted her knee solemnly. You're very brave, Ivy announced. Daddy says brave people cry sometimes. Finn made a strangled sound. Ivy, sweetheart, it's okay. Cassidy managed, touching Ivy's cheek. She's right. My wife died 2 years ago, Finn said quietly. Cancer. I was buried in work, barely noticed until too late. By the time I looked up, she had 6 weeks left. His voice cracked. Everyone moved on so fast, like grief has an expiration date, like she never existed. He looked at Ivy. I see people suffering alone, and I can't walk past, because I know what it's like to drown while everyone else dances. When I heard them talking about you, when I saw that empty table, he shook his head. I recognized myself. Cassidy squeezed his hand. They sat in shared silence, 2 wounded people finding comfort in mutual brokenness. I recorded them, Finn said suddenly. In the hallway. I had my phone out, and when I heard... He pulled out his phone, looking uncomfortable. It's yours if you want it. Evidence. Or you can delete it. Cassidy stared at the phone. She could destroy them with this. Her finger hovered over play. Then she thought about her mother, about the jade bracelet, about who she wanted to be. She pressed delete. Are you sure? Finn asked. I'm sure. I don't need proof. I don't need revenge. I just need to be free. She looked at the venue. They can have each other. I don't want any of it. Finn studied her with admiration. That takes real strength. My mother said carrying anger is like carrying a hot coal. You're the one who gets burned. Cassidy touched the bracelet. I've been burned enough. Ivy tugged her sleeve. Can I see your bracelet again? Without thinking, Cassidy unfastened it and slipped it onto Ivy's wrist. There. It suits you. Cassidy, no. Finn protested. That's your mother's. I know what it is, and I'm giving it to someone who reminds me what it means. She smiled, really smiled. My mother wore it through hard times. They survived, and they taught me to survive too. But survival isn't enough anymore. I want to live again, and sometimes that means letting go. Finn's expression softened. Ivy threw her arms around Cassidy's neck. Thank you, Ivy whispered. I'll take super good care of it, and I'll remember you. The brave lady who didn't need the mean people anymore. Cassidy held her tight, breathing in crayons and innocence, and felt something shift, not healing yet, but the first stirring of hope. They sat together outside for another hour. Eventually, Gerald's Mercedes pulled up. He stepped out, looking 10 years older. Cassidy, he started, hands raised. I came to apologize. Your mother would have... You were right. I've been a coward. Yes, Cassidy agreed. You have been. Gerald flinched. I don't expect forgiveness, but I want you to know I see it now. How I failed you. That's not an excuse, Cassidy said. Just another reason you should have tried harder. What can I do? Cassidy thought carefully. Nothing. Not right now. Maybe not ever. You can't make this right. You can only do better going forward. She stood. I'm leaving now, and I need you to not contact me for a while. I need space to figure out who I am when I'm not trying to earn your attention. Gerald's face crumpled. Cassidy, please. No, I'm done begging for scraps. I'm done making myself smaller. I'm going to find my own table. She glanced at Finn and Ivy. I think I already have. She started toward Finn's car, then paused. Tell Brooke and Owen I wish them well. Mean it, because I actually do. I just won't be around to watch. Gerald nodded, tears streaming. Your mother would be proud. I'm proud of you. I hope so, Cassidy said softly. Because I'm finally starting to be proud of myself. She didn't look back. As they drove away, the wedding venue grew smaller in the mirror, taking with it a lifetime of trying to belong where she never would. Where to? Finn asked. I don't know, Cassidy admitted. My place isn't far. Guest rooms available. Just a safe place to land tonight. Every rational part said refuse, but trust told her Finn was exactly what he appeared. A wounded healer offering shelter. Okay. Thank you. Finn's penthouse had floor-to-ceiling windows and minimalist luxury, but also Ivy's drawings on the refrigerator and photographs of a beautiful woman with Ivy's smile. Finn caught her looking. That's Rachel. My wife. Was my wife. He touched the frame. 2 years, and I still can't figure out the right tense. She was beautiful. She was everything. And I was so busy building an empire I almost missed our life together. His voice was quiet. That's why I intervene when I see someone hurting. Rachel taught me that seeing people, really seeing them, is the most important thing we can do. Ivy appeared in pajamas, bracelet still on. Daddy, can Cassidy read me a story? Cassidy nodded, following Ivy to a lavender bedroom. As she read The Velveteen Rabbit, her voice caught. Real isn't how you are made. It's a thing that happens to you. Ivy fell asleep, clutching the bracelet. When Cassidy emerged, Finn handed her tea. They settled in the living room. I should move that chair, Finn said, looking at the empty seat by the window. Or sit in it. But I can't. Maybe some spaces are meant to stay empty, Cassidy said. Not because we're avoiding them, but because they held something irreplaceable. Finn looked at her intently. How are you so wise after the worst day? Is it the worst day, or the first day of something different? She sipped her tea. I lost my family tonight, or admitted I never had them. But I found something. Permission to stop trying to earn love from people who'd never give it. They talked until dawn. Finn spoke about Rachel, guilt, learning to parent alone. Cassidy told him about erasure, conditional love, realizing Owen was a mistake. What will you do now? Finn asked. I don't know. New apartment, figure out finances, rebuild from scratch. Finn was quiet. Mercer Capital has a foundation. We need a fundraising director. Someone who understands people, connects donors to causes. You have non-profit management experience, natural empathy. I've interviewed for months, found no one who fits. Cassidy's breath caught. Finn, I can't. I'm not offering charity. 3-month trial. Prove yourself. If it works, it works. If not, we part professionally and stay friends. Are we friends? After one night? Finn smiled. I think we became friends when I sat at that empty table. Everything after was confirmation. Can I think about it? Take all the time you need. She stayed 3 nights, sorting through wreckage and sketching something new. Gerald called repeatedly. She didn't answer. Brooke's text said, You ruined my wedding. I hope you're happy. Cassidy deleted it. Was she happy? Not yet, but she could imagine it. On the 4th morning, she accepted Finn's offer over breakfast. The trial proved unnecessary. Cassidy threw herself into work with forgotten passion. Within weeks, she'd secured major grants and new partnerships. Finn watched with wonder. They fell into easy rhythm, strategy meetings, debates over lunch, dinners with Ivy, who'd started calling her Miss Cassidy with possessive pride. They didn't discuss what was growing between them, but it was there in Finn's hand on her back at events, in how Cassidy knew his coffee order, in Ivy's assumption that Cassidy belonged to them. 3 months later, Cassidy finally answered Gerald's call. They met at a coffee shop. He'd been in therapy, he said, trying to understand his failures. Vivian had moved to the guest room. Brooke and Owen's marriage was cracking. I don't want forgiveness until I've earned it, Gerald said, but I want a chance to try. Cassidy looked at this man who'd forgotten to love her and felt anger transform into something more complicated. Not forgiveness yet, but possibility. Weekly calls, just us. No Vivian, no Brooke. 6 months of consistency, then we'll talk about more. Gerald's eyes filled. Thank you. I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing it for me, because I don't want to carry anger, because boundaries aren't walls. They started slowly. Weekly calls where Gerald asked and listened, where he shared stories about her mother, where he admitted failures without excuses. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. 6 months after the wedding, Finn invited Cassidy to dinner, not at home with Ivy, but candlelit and intimate. She knew what it meant. I should tell you something, Finn said. That night, when I saw you alone, it wasn't random. I'd noticed you during the ceremony. Your expression reminded me of myself after Rachel died. Then I saw people avoiding your table, and I recognized someone who knows what it's like to be a ghost in your own life. So you were observing me, recognizing myself in you, and when I overheard them, it became about choice. I could walk away or do what I wished someone had done for me. See you. Really see you. He took her hand. What's happening between us isn't an extension of that night. You're not a rescue project. We saved each other. You reminded me what connection feels like. You made me laugh. You made me want to be present instead of just surviving. I don't know how to trust this is real, Cassidy whispered. We take it slow. Stay honest. Acknowledge we're healing. Don't rush to define it. What is it? He smiled. Two people who met at the worst moment and found the best thing. Messy, complicated, inadvisable. And I wouldn't change anything. When Finn kissed her goodnight outside her new apartment, it felt like coming home. Ivy was ecstatic when told they were dating, planning family adventures involving ice cream and playgrounds. She wore the bracelet everywhere, and Cassidy told her stories about her mother, stories locked away for years. A year later, Cassidy ran into Brooke at a gala. Her sister looked polished, but had new lines around tired eyes. Owen was absent, divorce proceedings after another affair. "You look happy," Brooke said uncertainly. "I am," Cassidy said simply. Awkward silence. Then, "I'm sorry for everything." Cassidy studied this woman who'd taken so much and ended up with nothing that lasted. She felt Finn's presence across the room, imagined Ivy at home drawing dragons. "I forgive you," Cassidy said, watching Brooke's shock. "Not because you deserve it, but because I'm done carrying anger that only hurts me." She started away, then paused. "I hope you figure out who you are when you're not competing with me. I hope you find something real." She crossed to Finn, who wrapped an arm around her. "You okay?" "Better than okay. I'm free." 2 years after the wedding, Cassidy woke to Ivy crawling into bed. The bracelet, now properly sized, glinted in sunlight. "Daddy says you're going to marry him," Ivy announced. "And I get to be flower girl." Cassidy looked at Finn, who looked sheepish. "I was going to be more romantic, but someone has no concept of surprise." "I wanted to make sure you'd say yes first," Ivy explained, "so Daddy won't be sad." Tears pricked Cassidy's eyes. "Of course I'll say yes," she looked at Finn. "If he actually asks." Finn fumbled for the nightstand, pulling out a velvet box. "Not how I planned this," he muttered, smiling. He opened it. Platinum band with a single jade stone. "Cassidy Wells, 2 years ago you sat alone at a wedding that should have broken you. Instead, you became the strongest person I know. You taught me that healing isn't linear, that family is what we build, that real love sees you at your worst and chooses you anyway. Will you marry me?" Through tears, Cassidy saw her whole journey. Loneliness, betrayal, a stranger changing everything. Her mother's face, the future spreading out. "Yes, 1,000 times, yes," Ivy cheered, throwing her arms around them both. Wrapped in their embrace, Cassidy understood what her mother meant about the bracelet passing through generations of strong women. Strength wasn't enduring pain alone. It was accepting help. Walking away from tables that didn't value you. Turning worst moments into transformations. She'd been forced to sit alone. But she hadn't stayed alone. And that made all the difference. 3 months later, Cassidy stood before a mirror in ivory, Gerald beside her crying. "Your mother would love this, not just the wedding. You, who you've become. I learned from the best. Mom taught me strength runs in our blood. You're teaching me people can change." The ceremony was small, just people who mattered. Ivy scattered petals in sage green, the bracelet on her wrist, performing her sacred duty with gravitas. Finn waited at the altar. When Cassidy walked toward him, she saw her future in his eyes. Not perfect, but real. Chosen. "Dearly beloved," the officiant began, and Cassidy felt her mother's presence, her grandmother's wisdom, all the strong women who'd survived and emerged transformed. When Finn slipped the jade stone ring on, when Ivy cheered, when Gerald cried genuine joy, Cassidy understood. You couldn't control who left your table, but you could control who you invited to build a new one. Sometimes the worst moment was actually the first moment of your real life. Sometimes being forced to sit alone was exactly what you needed to find people worth standing with.